appreciate that. Glad you got that out of your system. I know why you're happy today, everybody. Because Trump today announced a deal to temporarily reopen the federal government for... it'll be open for 3 weeks, like his casinos. And, of course, no funding for the wall. It's the thing he said he would never do, he just did. Right? For 35 days, he was like, there will never be a deal without wall funding. Wall funding. And Nancy Pelosi said, oh, yeah? Hold my beer. Of course, Trump always has to frame everything as a win for him. 3 weeks to give the wall. Maybe I'll declare, he says, an emergency. That's his new strategy. I'll give you 3 weeks to declare an emergency. He's like the bad guy at the end of every movie, falling off a skyscraper, still yelling shit on his way down. You may have won this round, Stryker, but And Pelosi's there like, yippee-yi-yay, pussy grabber. But listen to this. A couple of days ago, Trump was talking about this, and he said, I'm quoting word for it, he said, Nancy Pelosi, or as I call her, Nancy. That's how bad she is kicking this man's ass. His cutting nickname for her is her name. But he hasn't been idle, Trump. He came up with the slogan. Did you hear that this week? He said, build a wall, crime will fall. It's stupid, it's factually inaccurate, so I came up with one. That's so dumb, your base will come. And Pelosi said, you won't get your wall, I've got bigger balls. See, it's not that hard to run. Oh, speaking of balls, Trump's ban on transgender people serving in the military, they say that can be enforced. That's what you get when you put Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. So that can be enforced. And Trump has always had it out, right, for the transgender. People don't know why. He told us today, he said, no one wants to grab a pussy and get a surprise. But let's not bury what's most important in America. Everyone is talking about the smirk heard round the world. You saw this kid this week. Remember this kid? Yeah. If you don't know what this is, if you're living under a rock, okay, here's what happened. This was at the Lincoln Memorial. This is on the mall. But, of course, at the mall in Washington, there's all kinds of people protesting. And there were 3 groups there that day that got into it. There was the Black Hebrew Israelites. There's not many of them. There aren't. They've been in New York. I remember they stand on the corner calling white people crackers. And they finally got some attention. They believe African Americans are the literal descendants of the Israelites in the Bible. Except we have DNA and they're not. They did 23andMe and it came back, you're kidding, right? But the Black Hebrews started to mix it up with these Catholic high school kids who were there from Kentucky? Right. Okay. And they were there with a big pro-life march. And then a Native American elder playing a drum got in the middle to mediate. And now it's a big thing. And, people saying the kid, I don't blame the kid, the smirking kid. I blame lead poisoning. And bad parenting. And, oh, yeah, I blame that fucking kid. What a little prick. Smirk face. Smirk face says, please. Like, that's not a dick move at any age to stick your face in this elderly man's... And this smirking kid says he was just trying to diffuse the situation by... Really? You know what? Next time you get into a fight with your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, try that. Try getting 2 inches from their face with a shit-eating grin and see if it diffuses the situation. Yes? If you ask me, this kid should have done what everyone does during a drum solo. Leave. But really, I mean, I don't spend a lot of time, I must tell you, around Catholic school children. But I do not get what Catholic priests see in these kids. But big news, Roger Stone today was arrested. Former guest, not trying to be mean, former guest. Trump's first and greatest political booster. He's been trying to make Donald Trump president since 1988. He should go to jail just for that. But, I mean, he is a true believer. You know this, I bet you this political savvy crowd knows this. He has a giant tattoo of Richard Nixon covering his entire back. That's true. I feel sorry for his cellmate. I mean, try to keep an erection looking at that. All right. Listen, before we bring out Ann, I want to introduce someone in our audience. You know, I've been saying for the longest time, one reason this country is in such a mess is because we are politically illiterate. And one reason for that is we don't teach civics anymore in school. Civics. Okay, so 14 kids in Providence, Rhode Island, sued the school for not teaching them civics. They said, you are not preparing us to live in a democracy. And one of them is here. Please give a big hand to Ahmed Sissay, ladies and gentlemen. Stand up. Okay. All right, we got a great show. Dan Savage, Heather McGhee, and Joshua Green are here. In a little later, we'll be speaking with former Ambassador Michael McFaul. But first up, she is a political commentator and author of Resistance.